Commander Nadia Reeves hadn't planned on becoming a heretic when she woke up that morning. The mapping mission to the Centauri Nebula was supposed to be routine, chart the gravitational anomalies, update the NAV beacons, and head home. Instead, she found herself crouched behind crystalline formations on an uncharted moon, watching what could only be described as a sacrificial ceremony. The beings below moved with fluid grace, their iridescent robes catching the light of 3 moons. In the center of their gathering stood a pillar of black stone that seemed to drink in the starlight. Chained to it was a figure whose beauty made Nadia's breath catch, tall and elegant, with skin like polished amethyst and hair that flowed like liquid platinum. "Captain, our sensors are picking up massive energy readings from that structure," Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through her comm. "Whatever they're doing down there, it's affecting local spacetime." Nadia adjusted her position, the alien gravity making her movements feel sluggish. "Any response from the diplomatic channels?" "Negative. They're either ignoring us or can't detect our signals." The chained figure suddenly lifted her head, revealing eyes that glowed like molten gold. Those eyes locked onto Nadia's position with unnerving accuracy, despite the distance and her active camouflage. A voice echoed in her mind, clear as crystal, "Help me." Nadia had read the first contact protocols 100 times. She knew the proper procedures for encountering new civilizations. None of them involved interrupting what was clearly a significant cultural ceremony. But something felt wrong about this, the way the prisoner strained against her bonds, the cruel efficiency of the energy field containing her. "Commander," Park's voice held a note of warning. "Whatever's happening down there, it's building to a crescendo. Energy readings are off the charts." The robed figures had begun to chant, their voices creating harmonics that made Nadia's teeth ache. The prisoner's struggles grew more desperate as dark energy began to coalesce around her. "Please," the voice in her mind held raw desperation. "They will unmake me. Park, I need a distraction. Something big enough to scatter that crowd but not harmful." "Commander, the protocols dash." "That's an order, Lieutenant." A moment's hesitation, then, aye. Firing sonic pulse in 3, 2, 1. The air rippled as invisible waves of sound hammered the ceremony site. The robed figures scattered in confusion, their chanting disrupted. Nadia was already moving, her augmented muscles launching her from cover toward the pillar. Up close, the prisoner was even more striking, and the horror of her situation more apparent. The chains weren't physical but streams of dark energy that seemed to be slowly consuming her essence. "Hold still," Nadia activated her plasma cutter, carefully positioning it near the energy streams. "This might hurt. You cannot interfere." One of the robed figures had recovered, rushing toward them with surprising speed. "The ascension must be completed." The prisoner's golden eyes met Nadia's. "Cut the chains. Whatever happens next, it cannot be worse than this fate." Nadia made her decision. The plasma cutter flared to life, slicing through the dark energy bonds. The reaction was immediate and catastrophic. A shockwave of power exploded outward, knocking everyone off their feet. The prisoner collapsed into Nadia's arms, surprisingly solid and warm. "We need to move," Nadia helped her up, noting how quickly she regained her balance. "My ship's not far." "Heretics." The robed figures were regrouping, drawing weapons that crackled with the same dark energy that had powered the chains. "The vessel must not escape." They ran, the prisoner keeping pace easily despite her ordeal. Nadia's combat training kicked in as she returned fire, her pulse rifle forcing their pursuers to take cover. The ship's landing site was just ahead, its stealth systems shimmering as they approached. "Commander." Park had the cargo ramp already lowering. "We've got company incoming. Multiple ships entering orbit." They sprinted aboard just as the first energy bolts struck where they had been standing. Nadia slammed her palm on the ramp controls while shouting orders, "Get us out of here, maximum thrust. Jump as soon as we clear the gravity well." The ship's engines roared to life, pressing them against the deck as it clawed for altitude. In the cargo bay, Nadia finally had a moment to really look at the being she'd rescued. Despite everything, she carried herself with undeniable dignity. "I'm Commander Nadia Reeves of the Earth Exploration Corps," she offered, helping her unexpected passenger to her feet. "Want to tell me what that was all about?" Those golden eyes studied her with an unsettling intensity. "I am Zyra, former First Chosen of the Luminous Path. And you, Commander Reeves, have just prevented my ascension to godhood." A pause, then a slight smile that transformed her entire face. "For which I am deeply grateful." "Godhood?" Nadia blinked. "That's not what I expected." "The situation is far more complex than you can imagine," Zyra's expression grew serious. "And by saving me, you have entangled yourself in something far greater than a simple rescue." The ship shuddered as it executed its first jump, leaving the moon and its dark ceremonies behind. But as Nadia would soon learn, some chains aren't so easily broken, and some choices echo across the stars themselves. The ship's medical bay hummed with unfamiliar energy. Nadia watched as the diagnostic equipment struggled to make sense of Zyra's physiology, readouts flickering between impossible numbers. The alien woman sat perfectly still, her amethyst skin seeming to pulse with an inner light. "Your technology is primitive," Zyra observed, though without the condescension Nadia might have expected. "But fascinating in its ingenuity." "Primitive gets the job done," Nadia replied, studying the readings. "Though right now it's telling me you're simultaneously alive, dead, and possibly a small star." A soft chime interrupted them as Lieutenant Park's voice came through the comm. "Commander, we've got problems. 3 vessels just dropped out of hyperspace on an intercept course. Energy signatures match the ships from the ceremony site." Nadia straightened. "Time to intercept?" 20 minutes, maybe less. "They're faster than us." "Your pursuers are persistent," Zyra noted calmly. "The luminous path does not easily surrender its chosen vessels." About that, Nadia crossed her arms. "I think it's time you explained exactly what I interrupted back there. What did you mean by ascending to godhood?" Zyra's golden eyes dimmed slightly. "My people, the Lumini, discovered something extraordinary centuries ago, a way to channel cosmic energy through living beings. The process requires specific genetic markers, careful preparation, and—" She hesitated, willing sacrifice. "You didn't seem very willing." "I was, once." Zyra's voice grew distant. "I was chosen at birth, raised to believe it was the highest honor. The vessel becomes a conduit for pure cosmic energy, ascending to a higher plane of existence to guide and protect our people." Her expression hardened. "But I discovered the truth. The vessels don't ascend, they're consumed. Their consciousness is burned away, leaving only a puppet for the path to control." The ship shuddered as Nadia's pilot executed another evasive maneuver. "Commander," Park's voice was tense. "They're gaining. And they're trying to establish some kind of energy link with our ship." Nadia saw Zyra stiffen. "They're trying to trace the residual energy in my body," she explained. "The partial ascension left me unstable. They can track me." "Great." Nadia ran through their options. The Explorer Corps vessel was built for science and survey work, not combat or prolonged pursuit. They needed an edge. "Can you interfere with their tracking somehow? Use that energy they left you with?" Zyra considered this. "Perhaps. But it would require proximity." "To me," Nadia guessed, noting how the alien woman wouldn't quite meet her eyes. "What aren't you telling me?" "The energy seeks balance," Zyra explained reluctantly. "When they interrupted the ascension, it became unstable. It could theoretically be temporarily masked by sharing the load, creating a resonance between 2 beings." Another blast rocked the ship. "Commander." Park sounded worried now. "They're charging weapons." Nadia made her decision. What do you need me to do? Physical contact would be required. And I must warn you, taking on even a fraction of this energy could be dangerous for a human. Your physiology isn't designed to dash. Nadia grabbed Zyra's hand. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Golden light surged up her arm as foreign energy poured into her body. It felt like being filled with liquid starlight, beautiful and terrifying at once. Through the connection, she caught fragments of Zyra's memories, years of isolation and training, the growing horror as she discovered the truth, the moment of desperate hope when she saw Nadia watching from the rocks. Energy signature is fluctuating, Park reported, confusion evident in his voice. They seem to be losing their lock on us. Zyra's hand tightened around Nadia's as another wave of power flowed between them. Your body is adapting far better than it should, she said, wonder mixing with concern. This shouldn't be possible. Story of my life, Nadia managed through gritted teeth. The energy burning through her veins was painful but not unbearable. More importantly, it was working. The pursuing ship's lock on their energy signature was scrambled between two targets. Commander, Park's voice held new urgency. I'm reading a small asteroid field ahead. Dense enough to lose them in, but it'll be risky with our shields compromised. Do it, Nadia ordered, still holding Zyra's hand. Take us in. She turned to her unexpected passenger. I don't suppose any of your cosmic powers include improving our shields. To her surprise, Zyra nodded slowly. Together, perhaps. The energy responds to focused will. If we combine our efforts. They maintained contact as the ship dove into the asteroid field, debris pinging off their hull. Nadia felt the strange power flowing through her respond to her thoughts, reaching out to reinforce their failing shields. Zyra's consciousness brushed against hers, guiding the energy with centuries of training. The pursuing ships fired again, but their shots went wide as the asteroid field confused their targeting systems. The shield modifications held as Park threaded their vessel through increasingly narrow gaps between floating rocks. We're almost through, Park reported. But our port engine is starting to redline from the strain. Nadia felt Zyra's energy faltering as well. Whatever this sharing of power was doing, it couldn't be maintained indefinitely. As soon as we clear the field, make the jump to the coordinates I sent earlier. The outpost at New Singapore? Park asked. That's awfully close to populated space for fugitives. Exactly, Nadia explained. They'll expect us to run for the frontier. Sometimes the best hiding place is right in plain sight. The gambit worked. Their pursuers lost them in the asteroid field, and by the time they emerged, Nadia's ship was already making the jump to hyperspace. The energy connection between her and Zyra finally broke, leaving them both exhausted but alive. That was unprecedented, Zyra said finally, her golden eyes studying Nadia with new interest. No human should have been able to channel that much cosmic energy, let alone help direct it. Maybe your people's assumptions about humans need updating, Nadia suggested, trying to ignore the way her skin still tingled with residual power. Though I have to ask, is this going to be a regular thing? The whole cosmic energy transfer handholding? Until we find a way to either complete or safely terminate the ascension process, some form of energy sharing will be necessary to maintain stability. Zyra actually looked embarrassed. We are linked now, whether we wish it or not. Nadia sighed. Of course we are. Because this day wasn't complicated enough already. But despite her words, she found herself fascinated by the implications. The power they had wielded together had felt right somehow, as if she'd discovered a part of herself she hadn't known was missing. As their ship streaked through hyperspace toward uncertain sanctuary, neither woman fully understood how their impromptu partnership would reshape not just their own destinies, but the future of two civilizations. The energy that bound them together was more than just cosmic power, it was the catalyst for change on a scale neither could imagine. New Singapore station hung like a jeweled spider's web against the stars, its sprawling arms bustling with ships from 100 worlds. Nadia guided their vessel toward the less monitored sections of the station, where questions weren't asked as long as the credits kept flowing. Your station's security is remarkably lax, Zyra observed from the co-pilot's seat, her golden eyes tracking the patrol patterns of the local authorities. Not lax, Nadia corrected, powering down their engines as they docked. Strategic. The station authorities know exactly what happens in these sectors. They just consider it more profitable to manage the chaos than eliminate it. Lieutenant Park emerged from the ship's data center, his usually neat uniform wrinkled from hours of work. I've completed the analysis of the data we gathered during the ceremony, he announced, handing Nadia a tablet. You're going to want to see this. The holographic display sprang to life, showing complex energy patterns recorded during Zyra's interrupted ascension. Nadia felt the residual power in her own body resonating just looking at them. The energy signatures don't match any known cosmic phenomena, Park explained. But here's where it gets interesting. He gestured, and the display shifted to show historical records. I found similar patterns in old Earth documents. Ancient civilizations across multiple continents recorded identical energy signatures, usually associated with their gods. Zyra stood abruptly, her platinum hair shimmering with agitation. That's impossible. The luminous path has guarded these secrets for millennia. No other species should have. Unless they visited Earth too, Nadia finished. How many vessels came before you, Zyra? How many worlds has the path influenced? Before Zyra could respond, the ship's proximity alarms blared. Through the viewport, they watched as three figures in environmental suits magnetized themselves to the station's hull near their docking port. Their movements were too precise, too coordinated to be maintenance workers. Luminous path assassins, Zyra confirmed grimly. They're called Shade Weavers, hunters trained to eliminate threats to the path's secrets. Park, initiate emergency undocking procedures, Nadia ordered, reaching for her weapon. We need to dash. The lights went out. Emergency power failed to engage. In the sudden darkness, Zyra's skin cast a faint purple glow, and Nadia felt the cosmic energy within her surge in response to the threat. They're using suppression fields, Zyra explained, moving closer to Nadia. Standard technology will be useless. Good thing we're not entirely standard anymore. Nadia concentrated, remembering how it felt when they combined their powers in the asteroid field. Can we use our connection to power essential systems? Zyra's hand found hers in the darkness. The now familiar surge of energy flowed between them, stronger and more controlled than before. The ship's emergency lights flickered weakly to life, revealing Park had already drawn his sidearm. The airlock's sealed, he reported, but they're cutting through. Nadia felt Zyra's consciousness brush against hers through their energy link. The Shade Weavers will be expecting me to flee, her thoughts echoed in Nadia's mind. They don't know about our connection. We can use that. Any other surprises I should know about? Nadia projected back, surprised at how natural the mental communication felt. Secret weapons. Hidden powers. The energy we share, it can be weaponized. But doing so might draw attention from powers far worse than the path. The airlock door began to glow red as the assassins' cutting tools did their work. They had seconds at most. Park, fall back to the engine room, Nadia ordered. Be ready to restore power the moment their suppression field drops. She turned to Zyra. Whatever's worse than the path, it can't be worse than dying here. Show me how to fight. Through their linked hands, knowledge flowed. Centuries of hidden combat techniques, ways to channel cosmic energy into devastating force. Nadia's mind struggled to process it all, but her body seemed to understand instinctively. The airlock burst open. Three figures in sleek black suits entered, carrying weapons that crackled with dark energy. Their faceplates were mirrored, but Nadia could feel their shock when they saw her standing beside Zyra, golden light coursing between them. "The vessel must be cleansed," one Shade Weaver announced, voice distorted through their suit speakers. "The human is corrupted. Both must be eliminated." About that, Nadia smiled, feeling Zyra's power harmonize with her own. "I think your path needs a detour." They moved as one, Zyra's trained precision blending with Nadia's combat instincts. Golden energy erupted from their joined hands, meeting the Shadeweaver's dark weapons in a spectacular clash of power. The assassins were skilled, but they weren't prepared for two beings wielding cosmic energy in perfect sync. The battle transformed the ship's corridor into a chaos of light and shadow. The Shadeweaver's suppression field faltered under the assault, allowing Park to restore main power. Warning klaxons blared as the station's authorities finally noticed the disturbance. One Shadeweaver fell, their suit systems overloaded by a combined energy blast. Another lost their weapon to Nadia's precisely aimed shot, enhanced by Zyra's power. The third managed to transmit a brief message before Zyra's energy tendril wrapped around their suit's communication array, crushing it. "The vessel has bonded with a human," they reported. "Initiate protocol sundering." The remaining assassins retreated as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving Nadia and Zyra standing in the wreckage of the corridor, still holding hands, power flickering between them. "What's protocol sundering?" Nadia asked, already dreading the answer. Zyra's golden eyes were wide with genuine fear. "A failsafe. If a vessel becomes corrupted, they..." She swallowed hard. "They collapse the local spacetime matrix. The resulting gravitational shear would eliminate all trace of the corruption. They'd destroy an entire station just to stop us. They'd destroy an entire sector." Zyra's grip on her hand tightened. "The path cannot risk their secret spreading. Especially now that we know they've influenced Earth before. Station security would be arriving any minute. They needed to move, to warn people, to find a way to stop whatever the path was planning." But in that moment, holding Zyra's hand while cosmic power coursed through her veins, Nadia felt something shift in their connection. This wasn't just about escape anymore. The path's influence stretched across centuries, across worlds. How many other civilizations had they manipulated? How many vessels had they consumed in their quest for power? "We need to stop them," Nadia said, voicing what they both felt through their bond. "Not just run. Stop them permanently." Zyra nodded, a fierce light in her golden eyes. "Yes. But to do that, we need to understand what they truly are. And why they fear this connection between us so much that they'd risk destroying everything to sever it." The answers, they both knew, would be dangerous. But as station security pounded on their airlock and emergency evacuation sirens began to wail, one thing was clear: they would find those answers together. 1 year after the breaking of the path, the Grand Council chamber of Earth's United Space Command buzzed with tension. Representatives from 20 worlds had gathered to witness something unprecedented, the first formal alliance between humanity and the Lumini people. Nadia stood at the podium, her formal uniform adorned with new insignia marking her unique status. Beside her, Zyra's presence drew every eye in the chamber, her violet skin and silver hair as striking as ever. But it was the subtle golden light that flickered between them that truly commanded attention. "The events of the past year have transformed our understanding of the universe," Nadia began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. "The path's influence stretched across centuries, affecting human history in ways we're only beginning to comprehend. But their fall has opened doors we never imagined possible." Lieutenant Park, now Captain Park, sat in the front row with his data tablet. The past year had kept him busy documenting the changes that followed the path's destruction. Each day brought new discoveries as ancient sites were found and studied, revealing both wonders and warnings from the distant past. "The Lumini people have emerged from the shadow of the path," Zyra continued, her voice harmonizing perfectly with Nadia's. We have reclaimed our true heritage, not as vessels for cosmic parasites, but as partners in shaping the future. Our bond, she gestured between herself and Nadia, proves what's possible when different species truly cooperate. The changes weren't limited to politics and philosophy. The energy network they had transformed still existed, but now it served as a foundation for new technologies and possibilities. The first human Lumini research teams were already making breakthroughs in everything from space travel to medicine. But challenges remain, Nadia acknowledged. Some former Path loyalists continue to resist change. Predecessor sites still wait to be discovered, each potentially dangerous if mishandled. And our own bond raises questions about the very nature of consciousness and evolution. Through their permanent connection, Nadia felt Zyra's subtle amusement at the diplomat's mix of fascination and unease. Their merger had created something entirely new, neither fully human nor Lumini, but a prototype for what might be possible. We propose the formation of a joint task force, Zyra announced. The Stellar Guardian Initiative will combine the best of both our peoples, protecting against threats while exploring new possibilities for cooperation and growth. The chamber erupted in discussion as the implications sank in. This wasn't just an alliance, it was the beginning of a fundamental change in how species might interact and evolve together. Later, in their private quarters aboard the newly commissioned exploration vessel, Unity, Nadia and Zyra watched the stars through their viewport. Their shared consciousness flowed seamlessly now, two perspectives enriching each other without either being diminished. They're still afraid, Nadia observed, sensing the underlying tensions in the Council's apparent enthusiasm. Change is frightening, Zyra agreed. What we represent challenges everything they thought they knew about species boundaries and individual identity. Through their bond, memories flowed freely, their first meeting at the ritual site, the desperate battles against the Path, the moment of transformation in the ancient chamber. But also newer memories, teaching the first group of human Lumini pairs to safely share energy, discovering hidden predecessor sites and repurposing them for beneficial use, slowly showing both their peoples that cooperation could lead to evolution rather than extinction. The Guardian Initiative teams are adapting well, Nadia noted, reviewing reports through their shared consciousness. Each pair develops their own unique abilities when they learn to truly trust each other. But none quite like us, Zyra reminded her with a smile. Their bond remained unique, strengthened by being the first and by the massive energy they had channeled together. A signal chimed, drawing their attention to the ship's systems. Long-range sensors had detected unusual energy readings from an unexplored sector. Another predecessor site, perhaps, or something entirely new. They moved in perfect synchronization to the bridge, their shared power humming contentedly between them. Captain Park was already there, examining the preliminary data. Something different about this one, he reported. The energy signatures don't match any patterns we've seen before. Nadia and Zyra exchanged a glance, their excitement mingling through their connection. This was their true element now, exploring the unknown, protecting others from ancient dangers, and showing the galaxy what was possible when different species chose to trust and grow together. Plot a course, they said in unison, their voices carrying the harmonics that marked their unique status. Let's see what else the universe has in store for us. As the Unity turned toward new adventures, they reflected on how far they had come from that first desperate meeting. What had started as a simple rescue had evolved into something that would reshape civilizations. The Path had sought to consume and control the power of the cosmos, but Nadia and Zyra had shown a better way, partnership, growth, and genuine evolution. The stars stretched before them, full of endless possibilities. And whatever challenges awaited, they would face them as they had faced everything since that fateful day, together, their bond a living example of what the future could be. Their shared consciousness reached out, feeling the subtle energies that connected all living things. The universe, they had discovered, was not a place of separation and consumption, but of connection and growth. And they were just beginning to explore its true potential. The Unity accelerated into hyperspace, carrying its unique crew toward new discoveries. Behind them, across human and Lumini space, other pairs were beginning their own journeys of partnership and evolution. The age of isolation was ending. The dawn of true cooperation had begun. And somewhere in the vast cosmic dance, the energy they had transformed continued its endless flow, no longer a tool of parasitic entities but a force for positive change. The future, like the bond between a brave human commander and a former vessel of the path, was full of infinite possibilities.